This is Amy Jenner. Thanks for your company. With me now, the Assistant Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. As expected, Mr Frydenberg, Hillary Clinton declaring that she will nominate to be the next president. You'd have to say the favourite at this stage.
Certainly the favourite to win the Democrat nomination, and we would welcome Hillary Clinton putting her hand up for the presidential race. She's been a good friend of Australia and certainly was one of the architects behind America's pivot towards our part of the world. She's also going to face quite a lot of opposition from the Republicans because it's a wide field there. You've got Rand Paul from Kentucky, you've got Ted Cruz from Texas, you've got Marco Rubio and of course Jeb Bush, both from Florida, all of whom will be very formidable candidates. But it will be quite remarkable, Kieran, if another Clinton ends up in the White House. It will mean 24 of the last 32 years in the United States has seen either a Bush or a Clinton in the White House.
And, well, I guess it'd be even more remarkable if Jeb Bush does get the nomination for the Republicans. But you heard what Bruce Waltby had to say beforehand. It seems there's this structural issue for the Republicans right now in the sense that to get through their primaries or their internal votes, you've got to drift to the right. But to win the centre in the US politics, they've got to come back for the general election. And they won't necessarily have the right candidate to do just that.
Yeah, I think actually the Tea Party movement was quite damaging for the Republicans because, as you say, it took them to the right, and you need to win elections from the centre, even in the United States, where it's not compulsory to vote as it is in Australia. But the Republicans do have momentum. They've got the majorities in both the House and the Senate right now, and while the American economy is strengthening, unemployment has a 5 in front of it and growth has a 3 in front of it, there is still big question marks over the Obama legacy, and certainly internationally we've seen quite a few security situations that have called for America's strong action, and some people within the United States have questioned whether that has actually occurred.
Let's look at some domestic economy issues and, well, this iron ore price. The Treasurer warning to the Financial Review this morning that there is no floor in the price and that he's looks set to write off a further $25 billion in revenue over the next 4 years. This is a massive concern, has been for a long time, but looks like there's more to go here.
Well, the Treasurer's right. We've seen a dramatic fall in the iron ore price from $120 a tonne when we delivered last year's budget to under $50 a tonne now. And if it could go down to $35 a tonne, then that would even hurt our budget bottom line even more. I mean, for every $10 a tonne it falls, it's a $10 billion hit over the forward estimates to our revenue projections. Now, in the mid-year economic and fiscal outlook last December, we predicted $60 a tonne. We're now talking, going down potentially to $35 a tonne. That's in the space of just a few months. So it's a real challenge for us on the revenue side.
And, well, this is from a party that had said you would be returning to surplus in the first term. Now we don't even have a timeline on that. The Treasurer not willing to even give it some sort of indicative timeline, is certainly not in the forward estimates, and then no guarantee either that the deficit won't worsen in his second budget.
Well, we've always said we'll get to a surplus as fast as possible, and what the trouble on the revenue side underlines is how important it is to rein in spending. Now, we inherited spending growth which was in real terms growing at 3.7% per annum. We've brought it down to just 1% per annum, which is quite a significant achievement in itself, as well as passing a number of our budget measures through the Senate. But we have $30 billion worth of savings that are stuck in the Senate, including $5 billion worth of savings that Labor took the last election that they're now refusing to pass. So I think the heat must come now on the Labor Party to start approving some of our budget savings, because as they can see, with the real pressure on the revenue side, unless we can bring savings to the budget, we will face continued deficits.
Well, I guess this is the problem with the government's narrative at the moment. On the one hand, you've got the Prime Minister saying this budget's going to be dull, it's not going to hurt anyone, it's going to be a lot fairer, and yet you've still got this massive task, stalled measures in the Senate of upwards of $20 billion, and falling revenue. How are you going to make all of these things add up? It just doesn't seem possible when you're now reining in expectations of what reform might be possible.
Well, we're looking at alternative options. For example, the idea put forward by ACOS on the pension. Clearly, our move to change the indexation on the pension has hit an obstacle in the Senate. The Labor Party has not put up any alternative, but ACOS has, and Scott Morrison is looking at that very closely. So we've got to look for savings wherever we can. The other point to make is that the Australian economy does continue to grow strongly. In 2014, economic growth was 2.7% compared to under 2% the year before under Labor. This economic growth, whether it's in the housing market, whether it's in export volumes, which are still strong, whether it's increased consumer and customer sentiment, that will continue to spur job growth. And we're now seeing 600 jobs being created every day, 3 times faster than it was under Labor. That level of job growth and consumer support can help grow the economy too, Kieran.
Assistant Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, as always, appreciate your time. Thank you for that.
Great to be with you.
And with me now.